The rising violence against Asian Americans needs to stop. All Asian Americans need to stand up and to speak out to stop Asian American hate.
I have a friend who lives in New York City and works in New York City. I called her recently and learned that she was out of the blue hit on the face by a stranger when she walked out of a subway. And it was in front of her 5-year-old daughter. And another friend told me, she was also Asian, that she walked along the street and a car slowed down next to her. I mean, for people who look like high school children, yelled at her, "Go back to your country."
Like many immigrants of the early 20th century, my grandparents came from Poland, Russia, and Austria-Hungary to find better lives where they didn't have to fear pogroms, taxes levied only on Jews, restrictions on where they could live and how they could earn a living. But my grandparents could not have expected to lose brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, and other family and friends to the Nazi killing machine, causing an irreparable chasm in our family and culture.
We always said never again, but it did happen again.
I do my best to be a good listener. You know, I've been grounded in a lot of African continental and African American history. When I was much younger, I was very strident about making sure that that story was told, that experience was, made plain to whomever it was that I was speaking. But I'm also open to other people's stories and experiences. I feel that many of us suffer from self-hate, self-loathing. So if we're not okay with self, we're not going to be okay with the neighbor or someone who looks like us, and woe unto us if we find somebody who doesn't look like us.
You know, hatred often comes from education in the home. You know, long-standing prejudices that are passed down from generation to generation. It's hard to combat a hatred that's built into someone's DNA. I think instead of pain, I think it's more about fear, and fear of the unknown, and fear of the other, and fear of people who are not like us. And so instead of trying to get to know the other and get to know other cultures, it's easier to stay in a cocoon and stick to your own people. But there's a way to honor your own people, respect your own people, and yet interact.
I remember attending a conference and John Legend was speaking. He asked, "What's the opposite of love?" And I was thinking, hate. But he said the opposite of love is not hate, but the opposite of love is fear. So I want to think of beating fear.
Yeah, I think it was Martin Luther King who said, "Injustice to one is injustice to all."
We have to make a decision. Black, white, brown, tall, skinny, short, it doesn't matter. One injustice, one place is an injustice in every place. And we gotta come together.
We will drive anti-Semitism and the hate of any people back to the basement on their computer and away from the open discussions and dialogues around this city, around this state, and around this country.
Anti-Semitism is not a Jewish problem. This is a problem for the world, and we need to recognize that.
Get engaged in the conversation about the importance of respecting multiple cultures in a world still fighting for universal human rights. It might sound cliche, but if you see something, say something. Hatred and violence perpetrated against any one of us is perpetrated against all of us.
So as an educator, I like to use my voice to call my colleagues, my friends, and my neighbors who care to stand up against racism.
I feel that there is a need to evolve, and I feel that it's happening. I am guardedly optimistic that the gap between us is lessening.
So the mission of the Mercer Holocaust Genocide and Human Rights Center is to promote dignity and social justice to students and the community through Holocaust, genocide, and human rights education. And that's what we're starting to do now with beginning a conversation in the community.
This country is so divided right now, and attack on one ethnic group and hatred towards one particular group is a hatred to all mankind. And we cannot tolerate. And if there's one lesson we learn from the Holocaust, is this: we must stand up against hatred of all forms against any groups. And as a humanity, we must be united. And together we will be stronger.